All right, children, let's get this. So I just did a wrap up for part 1. This is the wrap up for part 2. On part 1, we talked about inverse operations. We talked about solving equations, working our way back from PEMDAS with inverse operations. For 44, looking at the solutions for 43 to help you solve those. We talked about a common denominator when solving with fractions, or clearing the fraction with the least common multiple. All right, on 68, on previous examples, I have used 12, and I had another student use 13. So 12, if you use 12 and you add 8, that gets you 20. And if you have 13 and you add 8, that'll get you 21. So we talked about a rectangle and how the perimeter, you add all the sides together. So you have a width, and you have 2 widths. So that's why you have 2 times 12 and 2 times 20. You have 2 13s and 2 21s. All right, so 2 times 12 is 24. 2 times 20 is 40. So this would give me 64. My target is 66, so this is no. That doesn't work. Over here, this gets me 26 and 42. That's 8 and 6. That gets me 68. I want 66, so no, that doesn't work. So at first you look at this and you go, there's no answers. But there are numbers, because 12 is too low and 13 is too large. But there are numbers between here. You have decimals, you have fractions. So me personally, it looks like the number I want is right in the middle of this. So I'm going to go with a 12.5. So if 1 is 12 and I add 8, 12.5, and I add 8, my other number will be 20.5. So 2 12.5s plus 2 20.5s are going to get me, what's that, 24. So 25, this is 41. Let's go. Cool. Guessing tests, organizing your information and using tables are valid ways of solving problems. But hopefully, we're working our way on using algebraic relationships. So if I have 2 widths and 2 lengths that get me 66, hopefully we can use our relationships and say those 2 widths and the lengths, instead of having different variables, I know that length will be 8 more than what my width is. We have the distributive property and equivalent forms of equations. So this would be 2w plus 2w plus 16 equals. Cool. So this is 4w plus 16 equals 66. And we are going to undo PEMDAS. So we're going to work our way back since we're solving. On this one, do I have addition or subtraction? I do. So inverse operations. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So what is that? Let's go. 0, 5. Divide both sides by 4. Half of 50 is 25, and half of 25 is 12.5. Let's go. Same answer, different way of looking at it. All right, where are we? We covered this problem But over here, we talked before about how x-intercepts are going to equal an x value and y is always going to be 0. Please look at the previous video for that explanation. So on this one, this is 0 equals negative 2 times the sum of x and 3 squared plus 8. So to undo it, I am going to undo PEMDAS. Almost forgot it. So you work your way back. So on this side, do I have subtraction? No. No. This is multiplication. I have addition. The opposite of multiplying is to subtract. Ooh, tricky. So negative 8 equals negative 2x plus 3 squared. I don't have any addition or subtraction, but I have multiplication. The inverse of multiplying is division. To the second power is an exponent. The inverse of squaring is the square root. The square root of 4 is positive 2 or negative 2. Because if I multiply those together, 2 times 2 equals 4. Negative 2 times negative 2 also equals 4. Because a negative times a negative is a positive. If I have two solutions, I have two answers. So what is this? The opposite of adding, the inverse of addition is negative 1 equals x. The opposite of adding, negative 5. So I have two answers for that. What we're going to get into next week is the number of, into your Delta Math assignment is also the number of solutions. So for your number of solutions, if you have a negative in front of a parentheses, include the 1. It's just invisible. So a negative times a negative is positive. A negative times a positive, is negative, equals x minus 1. So hopefully you see something right here. If you don't see it, if you eliminate what you can, and you end up with a true statement of equality. This is infinite solutions. Because no matter what you put in, it will work. So if I didn't subtract 1 from both sides, I could have, added 1 to both sides. I'm dangerous. I could have subtracted x from both sides. So if you end up with a true equality statement, anything you plug in should work for both sides. If you have an equation and you go to solve it, so if you don't see it, it's a negative 1. So this is negative times a negative is positive. If you see it, awesome. If you don't, you can add 4 to both sides. If you end up with an equality statement that is not true, there are no solutions. No matter what you plug in, you're not going to be able to counterbalance that difference. And also up here, you'll notice if you have the same variable to the same coefficient and different constants, you're going to end up with a situation like this. Okay, where else are we? All right. And then last but not least, what you're going to be working on today in Delta Math are these. solve it like anything else. So with PEMDAS, you're working your way back with inverse operations. So addition or subtraction, yeah, you have it. So if you have subtraction, you undo it with addition. The inverse of squaring is the square root. So that could be positive 5 or it could be negative 5. That's the same thing. Cool. So what you have been doing is you have been doing equations where you use the inverse operation and you've ended up with a variable equal to a number. That is the only solution. So this is only one solution. This is two solutions. So please submit something for everything and submit that today. It is much of an assessment on you as it is for me to check and go into Canvas and your Google Docs and be able to provide you feedback. Also, it gives me a frame of reference of your current understanding. So something is better than nothing. All the problems that there are videos for, you should have answers to. And once you're done with that, check your understanding in Delta Math. You cannot get more than 4 wrong or reset your score. So good luck. Let's go, Truman.